guys, this is National Master Kevin Yang back at it with another video. So let's look at this game against our fellow friend Aron. So I'll be black, Aron is white, so let's begin. So it starts out as a e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6 structure. This is completely standard. We're just controlling the structure, controlling the center, right? And white controls one square as well. Bishop c4, bishop c5, so nothing too big. D6, I could have also went knight f6, I could have also went h6, it really depends upon your preference. Castles, knight f6, d3, so all standard. Bishop g4, saying I'm going to pin you, nope, not that way, I'm going to pin you, maybe put some pressure with knight d4. After h3, bishop h5, bishop g5, and h6. So at this point, it's all standard. So what I'm doing is I'm keeping the pressure on this diagonal. And if g4 happens, I'm going to go back. Bishop g5 happens, I'm going to play h6. I'm going to copy the same thing. Now, here is the mistake. And this is not obvious at all, but this is a mistake. Now, why is that? The reason is because if I play g5, bishop g3, now there is the move knight to d4. And all of a sudden, the knight cannot take because the queen is pinned, right? So what's going to happen? Well, I'm going to take on f3, I'm going to play queen d7, and you're going to start to see that this pawn structure is going to fall, right? So essentially, if white does nothing, white plays, for example, knight, for example, a3, what would happen? Well, I would not take right away. I would play the move queen d7, saying, I'm threatening this, and after this, I'm going to take here. But, if you play something like king h2, what am I going to do? I'm just going to castle queenside. I'm going to bring my rook over to g8. I'm going to play g4, get my knight in, and still maintain this pressure, right? So it's simple as that. Not much game plan. But in the game, our friend Aron plays the move knight takes d4, allows the queen to hang, knight f5, bring my bishop back, knight d5, bishop g6. You know, I could have also traded here, but I decided, let's just bring the bishop back, knight g7, king f8, knight back to f5, takes. You see, I'm not doing much here. All I'm doing is saying, I want to consolidate my position. I'm going to trade down, bring my queen out, get some pawns, take f5, and then my game plan is king g7, rook out, not much, right? So that's the game plan. So what really happened in this game? Well, the only mistake that was made was the move bishop to h4. Just the move bishop to e3, bishop takes f6, bishop d2. I mean, bishop e3 is probably what I would prefer, because if bishop takes f6, the queen comes out. Maybe there's knight d5 still, but I would prefer bishop e3 because I still see potential in this bishop. I feel like the knight, if it were to be traded for this bishop just, it feels more dominant, because the bishop is controlling the diagonal. And at the same time, if you retreat the bishop here, there might be an instance of bringing the pawn up and creating that pawn break. So that's ideally what's going to happen. But instead, our friend Aron went down the long road and gave up the queen. So that was mainly it for that game. Let's move on to the next game. So e4, knight c6, this is the Nimzovich defense. This is me saying, I might play e5 later, I might play d6 later, but I want to be flexible. Knight f3, d6, d4, knight f6. So what I'm not doing much. I'm just saying I want to develop my pieces, but I don't exactly want to counter any of it. Knight c3, bishop g4. And this is a key moment because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to say you're going to take on f3, and if pawn takes f3, I'm going to play e5. But if queen takes f3, I'm going to take the pawn on d4. So after h3, bishop takes f3, the correct move here is the move g takes f3, maintaining protection of this d4 pawn. Meanwhile, another good move could be the move bishop to b5, saying, I'm going to pin your knight and king. If you play a6, I'm going to take, and now h3 is a good move. But in this position, after h3 take, now the knight can take on d4. Queen d1, just going to push my pawn up, defend the knight that way. Bishop g5, bishop e7. And at this point, I'm just consolidating. So now I have this tactic, and you'll see it in the game, but it was seen because I kind of felt like something was there, There's something about this very diagonal that's very tricky sometimes. There's also this discovery that's very tricky sometimes. And I combined those two and I said knight takes e4. Bishop takes e7, knight takes c3, and now if b takes c3, knight takes e2 with check, queen takes, and queen takes bishop. But if bishop takes d8, I play knight d takes e2, king h1, knight takes d1, and now I have two knights for this bishop. Bishop a5, just bringing the knight back, taking a pawn, rook d1, and now knight takes d1. So what did we really learn here? Well, first of all, remember that after bishop takes, here take with a pawn because the queen is respectively defending the d4 pawn. So, there's also bishop b5, which is a really good move as well, saying I might play d5, I might pin your knight and king, but after h3, I got this extra pawn, and knight takes e4. That was the blow, but it was not easy to see, right? To avoid it, maybe you could go bishop e3. That's one. But this was a very hard tactic to see because it required multiple moves. It required black to say, I'm going to take here. I have threats here. I can take here. This comes with, nope, this. There's that. So knight takes e2 comes with check. So that's a very thorough variation that I had to really look through. So I had to know at this point that knight takes e4 would lead to this position, saying attack, attack, under attack, and this position, check, under attack, under attack. I had to think about all that in my mind. King h1, knight takes, I had to think about this structure in my mind. Was this knight going to be trapped, right? After bishop a5, knight takes b2, and at this point I already knew what was going to happen. It was just a matter of how my opponent was going to approach the situation. So that is that for my games against Aron, and hopefully you did learn something, and it wasn't just all boredom, because chess is very interesting sometimes, especially with those tactics, like I showed you, the continuation. You look from one position to the next, that's going to give a lot of wonder as to what happens in this position, what possibilities are in the next, and just creates for complexities, right? It's not easy to see these things. I get it. Chess is not an easy game. I've never thought it was easy either, but it's all about that curiosity. It's all about that exploring, and it's all about this pursuit to find what is most interesting for you. So hopefully you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.